Good morning from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant, and we welcome you to Kentucky Newsmakers and hope you're enjoying your weekend. Their slogan is "Never underestimate you." Later, we'll be hearing from the Associate Vice President of the Kentucky Community and Technical College System about their offerings and success stories. But first, Lexington will have a new county attorney sooner than expected. Longtime County Attorney Larry Roberts is stepping down early. That will clear the path for Angela Evans to be sworn in on September 30th. Evans defeated Roberts in the May Democratic primary. There is no Republican candidate. Evans will begin her tenure in Lexington as the city is dealing with a wave of gun violence, and she has promised an equitable and transparent approach to enforcing the law. Soon to be County Attorney Angela Evans joining us today, and we welcome you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
First, congratulations on your victory in May in the primary. Were you surprised by the margin by which you were elected?
I was. You know, I know I got good reception when I was going door to door, but I don't think anyone, at least I certainly don't have the ego to expect a win margin like that, especially against someone who is well known and plenty of people, know him and have been supporters of him throughout the year. So. No, the margin was unexpected.
And what does it say to you, and what responsibility do you feel because the people have put so much confidence in you?
Yeah, it's a huge amount of responsibility. First of all, I'm just very grateful and humbled that people really heard my message and understood it and believed what I believe, that, there's time for change. And people wanted transparency. They wanted a new way of thinking, and that's what I think. That's why it was such a well-received message, because that's what people want. We're in a new era of just how people view government in general, and that's what I want to do. That was the message I was bringing.
Were you surprised to learn that you will be assuming office early?
We had talked about it. Mr. Roberts and I did have communications. We met, so that was something that he had mentioned, and I certainly wasn't going to push that. But I know we were holding it close to the vest for a while. It wasn't common knowledge, but we've been working together for a smooth transition, and he's been very gracious in that. So I think I've learned a little bit, still a lot more to learn about the office, but we're ready. I've got a transition team that's getting together, and we'll be ready.
Well, is it an advantage or a challenge or both to be assuming office a couple of months early? I mean, it will give you an opportunity to do some hiring at a time when some graduates are becoming available, right?
Yeah, well, I'd say it's probably a little bit of both. It was gracious for him to retire. I won't say resign, but so I can have a little more time to learn the office and just the fundamentals, because that will be helpful in establishing how I want to implement what my administration would be. So that's the plus side. But I also have to remember we're still in campaign mode. It's not official until November, and so I still need people to understand that they still need to vote for me. My name is on the ballot. 10 days before an election, someone can write in. So we're still in campaign mode. So it kind of confuses people. But no, I mean it's certainly more of a pro than a con to come in and meet the staff and kind of see how I can start implementing my agenda, but have time to really think it through.
To be clear, a write-in is the only way that someone could potentially defeat you on the November ballot.
Correct.
Right. All right. Let's talk some issues. You are entering the office at a time when gun violence has been rampant in Lexington. I know it's disturbing to you as a public official in the past and future. Many cases are unsolved because police simply don't have enough information. What are your observations about this issue of shootings and how the community overall can respond and how your office might be helpful?
Yeah, well, I understand the concern, and I think it's more of a concern now because it's happening across the city. It isn't just one place anymore, or a couple of locations, and I know that's what's really heightened people's fear. But I know police are working to do try and find out, but we need to try and figure out look at who the victims are, and maybe see if there's a way we can really think in more of a preventive mode, perhaps. I haven't talked with the chief on these, specifically, but maybe there are some ways that we can maybe prevent some if we know if it's a group of people or families that have their issues with each other, but it is an issue of concern. But I know police are concerned just as much as anyone else is. I know the mayor and her staff are concerned, and council members are. So it's really, we need to put our heads together to really think of a different way to approach this.
Another challenge for the city is a shortage of manpower right now. On the police department, we know there's a shortage of dispatchers to take the E911 calls, and the corrections officers at the jail in Fayette County, the detention center. That is an ongoing issue that I know has gotten your attention.
Oh, absolutely. And it kind of goes into what my campaign was about. It's a new era for everyone. So that means we need to think of different ways to do it. Whether it's using electronic monitoring more, or to reduce the jail population, or whether it's getting people more social services so they stay out of the system to begin with, and then really looking at different populations of professions to try and encourage them to maybe seek one of these professions. I remember when I was a social work major in Atlanta, the Miami-Dade Police Department was at a career fair, and they really tried to encourage me to apply. And I just said, look, I'm the wrong person, but they understood that we need people with those skills, those, not the soft skills, but just understanding people and being able to truly de-escalate. And that's part of, personality, as opposed to, just a law enforcement just come in after the fact. But, try and de-escalate.
Would it be your goal to put fewer people in jail? And do you think that in a way that could create a safer community?
Well, I think,
as some are saying, they're calling for higher bonds for the suspects who have been arrested in some of these cases.
Well, I think we need to take it from a social issue. Like, why are people going to jail in the first place? We've got a high drug abuse problem. We've got violence in families. What are the root causes for why people end up in the system? And I think we're now seeing that we can't throw money at a jail or even at law enforcement. We need to start looking at the root problem to prevent this crisis that we now find ourselves in. So that's kind of the creative part that I'm looking at in a new era of criminal justice and doing things differently.
So it sounds like you are pledging that your office will be involved in trying to be a solution to some of these community issues that are out there and bubbling.
Absolutely. Because I think any prosecutor across the state, across the country, will tell you that this people in court, it's a byproduct of what's going on in their lives as people, what their family history was or what their personal issues were. People don't just wake up and decide to abuse drugs. That's masking other things that have gone on. So yes, we all need to be a part of that and find other ways to address those solutions. Where we don't want people committing crimes and giving them an excuse, because you've got these problems that plenty of other people do. That doesn't send them into a criminal behavior. But with the crisis that we're having right now, we really need to look at other ways to address what brings people into the court system and the incarceration system. Because again, we can't just house everyone, and we can't just keep everybody in jail. So we really need to start looking at some of these root causes and shifting our focus to that. You had indicated that you would largely decriminalize small amounts of marijuana possession once you entered office. Your predecessor said he didn't have much of an appetite for
convicting in a lot of those kinds of cases. But will that be your policy starting September 30th?
Well, I'm going to take my time to create policies, and that's why I'm grateful for the 3 months that Mr. Roberts is giving me to learn more about the office itself, because that's part of what my transition team is doing, to learn how the office operates, to see how my policies can fit in with the actual operation of the office. Because I'm not one to think that I can come in and just change everything and it's going to be right. I'm way too methodical for that. So, there are some things that I want to implement, but I also want to know what is the effect of, or what could be the effect of implementing them. So, yeah, there are some things that I would like to do, but also want to know how that will impact not just the office, but the city as well. So I'm going to take my time and let my transition team ask questions and get information from people in the office, and then roll out a more a thoughtful and hopefully as thorough as we can be policy and plan for my administration.
It's difficult for the public sometimes to grasp how comprehensive the duties are of the county attorney. There are so many areas of responsibility, right, from the traffic to the more minor crimes out there, right, to juvenile court and so forth. In the juvenile court area, do you see your position as a place where you can maybe disrupt some of the bad outcomes that are happening in a young person's life and get them on a better path?
I think everyone in the courtroom should be thinking that way, and that's why we do have some district court judges that started something new for specifically in juveniles. So I'm eager to talk to them and see how it's working and how we can do better. And again, there's still crime that's going to be committed, and I still have to, that's part of my job is, enforcing crime. So, just finding out how that looks from the prosecutor perspective. Perhaps not the leader, but certainly perhaps not being a hindrance to programs that might be available to juveniles or adults for that matter.
Sometimes the county attorney is the one who stands up for an underage or vulnerable person, an elderly person or a young person.
Right.
Will that be an important part of your office duties?
Well, yeah, that's part of the court system, is it now, with our mental health courts and adult custody, guardian ad litem and all of that. We want to make sure that people aren't being taken advantage of, and people who are seeking custody over a loved one truly are there for their best interest and their and for their benefit, because we have an aging population. We have a population with mental disabilities that can't perhaps do all of what's necessary to care for themselves, but we want to make sure that, again, people aren't being taken advantage of, because we see, again, that can lead to crime as well. So yes, that's going to be, and it's just a regular part of the office, but to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to make that an easy transition for people and help the person who is the center of that case understand and be okay with what's going on. But there's a role for everyone in that. But yes, we want to certainly make sure that we're there to protect the public as well as discipline and criminal system.
Addiction, overdoses, a continuing issue in the community and certainly statewide. How will you approach trying to get that under control?
Well, I would put that more over to my city council days. That again, I think you still have to prosecute when crimes come, but we do have programs that are in place. The health department has the needle exchange that I was a part of council when we implemented that. So I think sometimes it's just being, again, a support for programs, a supporter of programs, and letting the public know that this can be a way to help, because I know and it's our human nature to to be in a punishing mindset, but sometimes there are programs that can perhaps help alleviate and solve some of the problems. But yeah, so I think part of my job and my role is to be a support for other programs that are going on.
You be ready to go September 30th?
I will be. Yeah.
Right. Angela Evans, the incoming Fayette County Attorney, thank you for coming by. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Stay with us now. We'll be back in just a moment, and we'll hear from KCTCS. They think they can be the solution to Kentucky's workforce. We welcome you back to Kentucky Newsmakers. The workforce challenges in Kentucky are obvious, with thousands of unfilled jobs. In many cases, it's because applicants are not qualified for the jobs that are coming open now and in the future. The Kentucky Community and Technical College System, or KCTCS, is observing Workforce Development Month by letting Kentuckians know what they offer. The system has 16 colleges, more than 70 campuses statewide. And joining us is Erin Tipton, the Associate Vice President at Bluegrass Community and Technical College. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We all hear that, you know, the numbers are that there are 2 job openings for every available applicant out there right now, and companies are very desperate to fill positions. How tough is it right now to match skilled employees with the jobs that are available?
Well, if employees have or individuals have the skills, it's not a hard match because that's what our employers need, whatever industry sector it might be. So I think the issue is getting people to get into programs, whether they be short-term credentials or 2-year degrees, so they do have the skills to be successful in the workplace.
Tell us about KCTS's statewide scope, the offerings you have, and what difference it can make to have that certification or degree when somebody goes out on the market.
Sure. So, you know, we have, as you said earlier, we have 16 community colleges that make up our system and 70 campus locations. So all are within almost a 30-minute drive or less of most Kentuckians. And so in terms of access, there's many opportunities. We're actually increasing some of the enrollments, the capacities in our program. So in order to respond to the demands, we're increasing in programs such as nursing, our ADN to RN program, our automotive program, HVAC, and also we're working with companies specifically through our trains funding, which is funding that we can utilize and companies can utilize to train their current workforce. So that's another component to workforce development, is how companies are investing in their current workforce to stay current with the latest technologies.
So there is that ongoing discussion between companies and the college system to try to figure out what the needs are.
Absolutely, and that's part of the unit that I lead, is our Workforce Solutions Unit. And with that, through our trains funding, we can meet with a company, listen to what their needs are. Maybe it's a changing technology. Maybe it's a group of employees who need to upskill in a particular area as their company evolves and as the technology evolves. And so by customizing something specific to that company's needs, it also impacts the availability of individuals who are staying current with technology.
And when students or workers who are in the workforce are sent for this additional training or additional certification, do they usually embrace that?
I think they do. Sometimes there may be a little reluctance when there's a new technology coming in, but I think once they get into the classroom, whether we offer the training on site at the company's location or at one of our campus locations in central Kentucky, I think by getting involved, they see that they can do it, and it's possible for them. What
about people who want to return, maybe for a career change? They're looking for a new direction, and they've decided they're going to go back. They obviously oftentimes are nervous as well about stepping onto a campus.
Absolutely, and so part of our mission is to meet students where they are, whether that's an adult who's been out in the workforce for 20 years or more, or an individual who has been is coming right out of high school, or maybe it's someone who wants to pivot and work in a new industry sector. COVID has brought forth many individuals who want to change industry sectors. So, part of what we do and we do well at BCTC and all of our KCTCS colleges is we meet students where they are. So we have additional wraparound supports where we can really work with the student to see what type of barriers they might have, whether it be transportation, whether it be something academic related because they may have been out of school for several years. So it's a big part of what we do, and we welcome people where they are.
When you see they have potential, you want them to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And what are the kinds of things that you do to make sure that happens? From the professors down.
Sure. So our class sizes, first of all, I'd say the advantage is our class sizes are small. So our students are able to receive individual attention, communication. The support services that we have are fabulous, as our tutoring services, services that can help students understand the subject matter. We have implemented something called peer tutoring, where we have peers, other students that have gone through those particular subjects, and able to infuse that into the classroom as well. So holistic approach. Also too, we know that our students have other barriers in addition to academic, potentially academic barriers. And so helping students with things like transportation. Some of our students are housing insecure, and so we have services to promote that, counseling, and others.
Do you count it as a success when a student comes to campus reluctantly or at least scared and hoping they can get some kind of certification and begin to become successful and realize that this is a path they want to be on, and maybe they end up going to a higher degree
Right.
than they anticipated?
That's probably the best thing or feeling that we get when we see that student where they've had that moment where they realize they can do it. And it is rewarding to see. A lot of the credentials that we have are what we call stackable. So a student may come to us wanting a short-term certificate, but once they see they can do something and they're successful in earning that short-term credential, you're right, they do go on. They go on to earn more credentials, more certificates, and those certificates are often embedded in some of our associate degree programs. And from there, we see many of our students transfer to our four-year universities.
I mean, sometimes they will set goals that they didn't even have when they got there.
Absolutely.
What do you say to those who say that, schooling and training takes time? Certainly there is expense. And those are some of the other barriers
Sure.
that are out there. What is it that they will get from having that degree or credential?
Well, a couple of things. First, I would say that it's possible for anybody who wants to do it. There is funding available for individuals that have never pursued or don't have a college degree through our Kentucky Work Ready Scholarship. So to eliminate that barrier, that scholarship is there, and it is geared towards individuals and for individuals who want to access programs that are high wage, high demand. And so when we can help individuals obtain those credentials, then what we know is it means a higher quality of life for themselves and or their family. So having that above livable wage, right, where they can earn a good living for themselves and their family, improving their quality of life.
And what do you say to employers out there who, are just desperate? They have the notices hanging on their own hallways about, for people internally, and maybe trying to offer incentives for their own employees to go out and help recruit people. And, and then, they have a lot of trouble finding people right now. Are you a resource for that as well?
We absolutely are. And what I would say, a couple of things. One is to access their local community college, right? And BCTC serves our 16-county area in central Kentucky, and we have multiple campus locations. So I would encourage employers to reach out to us so that we can help them. We can customize solutions specific to their needs, whether it be technical, skill training. It could be what we call essential skills training. Maybe it's something in the area of supervisory, leadership, communication, teamwork, whatever it might be. And then I would also say that the successful organizations that we're working with are the ones that are making direct investment in their employees. So those that are actually they're taking ownership that in order to have a skilled workforce, they need to promote retention of their current workforce, and so providing some level of investment. So for example, we have companies who are sending apprentices to us, their current workers, so they can receive the credential, the 2-year technical training that they need. Another example is the customized training that I was telling you about. We see groups of people benefiting from upskilling their skills and directly contributing back to their employer.
If people want to contact you, how do they do that?
They can contact us by calling the Workforce Solutions office at 859-246-6888, or they can go directly to the BCTC Workforce Solutions website.
And there's a lot on there. I was
There is a lot.
going through it, and you do a lot of things.
We do.
Appreciate you coming by.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And happy Workforce Development Month, right? Is that?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Stay with us now. We'll be back and wrap up Kentucky Newsmakers in a moment. And welcome back to Kentucky Newsmakers. We'll start to have more political candidates. Now we're closing in on 6 weeks before the November election, so time is certainly flying toward that. We do want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Kentucky Newsmakers. Remind you that we'll have the latest news throughout the week on WKYT and WKYT.com, and hope you make it a good week ahead.